Right, okay, I think this is day 3 now. Day 3 of running into Wick to fit the self-steering gear to this sailing yacht. When I was learning to sail, my father taught me, but then there were other stages to go on to, like learning to sail on the sea. Very different to sailing on a lake. You've got the tide, you've got currents, and you've got the swell from the sea. You haven't just got waves, you've got swell. So a friend of my father's, really nice guy called Pete. Pete said he would teach me the basics of sea sailing. So off we went with our little, was it a 4-metre sailing boat over to the east coast, again to a place called Filey, where we used to go on holiday quite a lot. Lovely place. And rigged the boat up, launched the boat, and out we went sailing. I was a little bit intimidated by the sea at that time. I was young. I'd been out on little fishing boats, open fishing boats, cobbles they call them, East Coast cobbles, or the Scarborough cobble I think was another name for them. Anyway, I'd been out on those and found it quite uncomfortable. Big sea, small open boat, and lots of people in that boat fishing. And I was always quite pleased when we got back, I have to say. So there we are, out and being taught the rudiments of sailing a boat on the sea, how to account for current, how to account for tide. Whilst we were out, quite near to a place called Flamborough Head. Don't know if anybody knows Flamborough Head, but we were quite near to Flamborough Head. At this point, I don't know actually how old I was. I would, gosh, maybe I was 10 or 11, I would think. Maybe 12. Anyway, the rudder didn't actually break itself. It's a thing called the tiller. The tiller is like it's a wooden stick. It comes out from the rudder, and you can push it and you can pull it, and this steers the boat one way or the other. That, unfortunately, snapped. Now, Pete was just that kind of. He was a funny guy. He was very calm, and he said, "Oh well, that's not so good, is it?" And I was asking him, how on earth are we going to steer the boat? How on earth do we get back? Here I am thinking, we are going to be lost at sea. The lifeboat will have to come and get us. Will we drown? Will a storm come and sink us? What's going to happen to us? Pete, however, I mean, I'm sure he had to be. He was the adult. I'm sure he was probably thinking, oh, Jesus. Anyway, he said, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to sail a boat in a direction just by using the sails, by the way you have the sails set, the way you balance the sails. The front sail, if you make that tight, will push the front of the boat to one side. If you let it go slack and pull the big sail in tight, it makes the front of the boat go the other way. It's not very simplistic, and it might actually confuse you guys. The point is, he started teaching me how to sail a boat in a direction, not a very good direction. I mean, just in a rough direction, which was good enough because Filey Beach is actually a very, very long beach. It stretches a long way past Filey, past Primrose Valley, I think it was called, and so a rough direction was fine by me as long as we were pointing towards the yellow stuff, i.e. the sand. So that was kind of cool, and he was showing me, and it was a bit hit and miss. I mean, we kept going in roughly the right direction, and that was okay. It was reassuring, but I was still a little bit apprehensive. And I do remember saying to Pete, what happens though if we really can't control the boat to get to the beach? And he was very calm, and he looked at me and said, No, lad, we'll be fine. We'll get to the beach using the sails. You keep paying attention. You might need this lesson one day. I said, yes, but what, Pete? What if it doesn't, Pete? What if we can't, Pete? And he said very calm, he said, well, lad, if we can't, all you have to remember is jump over the side, head for the bottom, and run like hell for the shore. And do you know, I know it's obviously a completely absurd suggestion, but that took away all the anxiety, all the worry. I was completely fine, and we sailed back to the beach, no problem, and I learned how to sail a boat in a direction with the sails. It was all good. I suppose the point is, I remember that, obviously I remember it to this day, but whenever I'm in a difficult situation, it doesn't have to be on a boat, it could be anywhere, then I always remember Pete's words. They always come into my head, and the sound of his voice. He was a Yorkshireman, and he had a very good solid Yorkshire accent. Lovely, lovely man. And I remember his voice saying to me, don't worry, lad, jump over the side, head for the bottom, and run like hell for the shore. And it's like a mantra to me in a difficult situation. I remember that because it calms me. Because fear is a terrible thing. It can immobilize you, and that's not good. Fear, okay, it's understandable, of course it is, but you must keep control of yourself. This is what the head for the bottom is all about. If you start to panic, it's not a good thing. Stay in control, learn how to sail a boat with the sails. Well, he's a little bit close over, wasn't he? And always have a plan B. And the plan B in this case was jump over the side and head for the bottom and run like hell for the shore. Obviously not going to work, which basically means we're going to make this work. And that is the attitude to have. Now, in fear, when we are in fear, we want to really quickly maybe hand over control to others without thinking of our situation carefully. Thinking, what can we do? And let's make it work. Anyway, that's just a little story about learning to sail on the sea. And I'll leave you to enjoy the sunny drive into Wick the rest of the way. Thank you very much. hope you guys don't mind me interrupting, by the way, but we're just passing a sign. You'll have seen it there on your left-hand side for a little place called Sarclet. And there's a feature of the coastline called Sarclet Head. And, well, where was it now? Last year I was sailing a boat, delivering a boat from Inverness up to Wick, 27-foot seagoing sailing yacht. Small, but good seagoing boat. And it had been an absolutely glorious March, I think it was, yeah, March morning that I'd left Inverness. Well, I left actually at about 2:30 in the morning. It was pitch black, but then the sun came up when I passed. Where would I have been? Fort George, a bit beyond Inverness. Then the sun came up, and it became a beautiful day. But Sarclet Head, now that's a long way. I mean, I've been sailing at that point probably about 10 hours. I got to Sarclet Head, and what had been a beautiful day became completely manic, utterly mental. Waves, wind, everything, and not in my favour either. And the boat was bucking and tossing itself around and rolling from side to side. And I thought, oh, right, okay. One of the old rules about sailing was that if you're thinking that you should reef, then you're already too late. I was well too late. Reef, by the way, shortened the sail, made the sail smaller. So there I was, hanging on for dear life to the mast while I was trying to make the sails smaller, reefing the sails to try and ease the motion of the boat. Got all that done, still bucking around, ploughing into the waves. And I'd made a cup of tea for myself, and all the time I was at the mast working on the sails, I was trying to egg myself on by saying, it's okay, when you get back to the cockpit you can sit down and you can drink that cup of tea. Well, back into the cockpit I got, rather sort of cowed really, and as I was about to reach for my cup of tea, the boat took a dive into the trough between two waves, and my tea tumbled from where it was and fell to the floor, emptied. And I looked up to the skies in exasperation and imploring it to God. I said, really? Really? Did you really have to do that? And the rest of the journey to Wick, it was uneventful. I think the phrase is I had my arse kicked, and the only thing I remember from it really was my cup of tea, which I'd so looked forward to. Anyway, that was Sarclet Head, a little quick story about Sarclet Head. And by the way, my wife is somewhere, Fiona, she's somewhere behind me, don't know how far behind, and she's driving in to give me a hand separately because she'll have to leave to see to the chickens. And she's driving in an old car we have from 1970 because hers is in need of a wheel bearing. So hopefully she copes okay with it. She hasn't driven that car before, from 1970, as I say, but I'm sure she can cope with it. She's quite good at that sort of thing. Just throw her any kind of curved ball and she'll just catch it and continue on and say, how hard can it be? So anyway, here we are in Wick, and I'll let this just play out when I pull up to the harbour, although I may point out the boat that we're fitting the Hydrovane to. If the camera, which is judiciously gaffer taped to the dashboard of my car, if that will point at the boat, then I'll show you it. I'm not exactly high tech with these videos, as you've all worked out. Well, all few of you have worked out. It really is just a tablet that I use for all sorts, that is gaffer taped to the dashboard of the car, which probably explains to you the poor quality of sound and well, I suppose the picture quality isn't too bad, although it does blur in and out, doesn't it? But anyway, there we go. I'll keep quiet until we get to the harbour. that ahead of you, right in sort of the centre of the screen, is the boat that we're doing the installation on. So that is us. Oh, well, that's me anyway. And I will speak to you all later. Thank you very much indeed. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did. Bye bye for now.